Hello beautiful people, it's Trina. Welcome back to my channel. I'm wearing burgundy today. As per my last video, when I unboxed all that burgundy stuff, I realized I have so much more of this color than I realized in my wardrobe. My wallet, for example, this Ferragamo thing, and this bag that I redid years ago, feels like years ago, probably just a year and a half ago, maybe two, on my channel. I'll link to this. I'm pulling this one out for the season. It's perfect. Wore this today with my burgundy shoes and raspberry beret, and all was good in the world. So today we're doing Zara. Zara finally had a sale, and the two fragrances that were sitting in my cart for months are now in my hands. We have standout gourmand fragrance Moonlight Whisper and Moonlight Whisper Intense. I got them both for under 2,000 yen each, a real steal in my opinion. These fragrances have caramelized pistachios, vanilla, and amber notes. They're stronger in performance compared to the others in this particular line, all created by Jérôme Epinette and released last year, 2024. I've been looking forward to getting these for some time, and I'm happy with myself for having had the patience to wait for the sales. But it was a risk, as Zara fragrances online are not consistent in their offerings, and you never know if they're going to discontinue something. Fellow fume heads out there probably already know that Moonlight Whisper, and apparently more so the intense version, is considered a dupe of the more boozy Yum Pistachio Gelato by Kayali Fragrances, released in 2023. Sadly, I've not gotten my nose on that one because, well, it's pricey. More than ever, you guys, I'm trying not to buy expensive fragrances at the moment. Not unless there are deep discounts. That goes for cheapies too, apparently. But fragrances in recent years have skyrocketed in price, like most things. And the Japanese yen is so weak now. And of course, I live in Japan. If I were to move to the US on my wee Japanese salary, I'd probably be below the poverty line. Plus, I'm no spring chicken, and since Japan is an ageist country, I'll be kicked out of my job in less than 10 years. So I think my well-earned money is, for the most part, better off in the S&P 500 than in a bottle on my shelf, if you know what I'm saying. But, perfume is my hobby, so it's got to be tempered. But that's not to say I'm not going to buy perfume. Thankfully, though, for this YouTube channel, I have oodles of scents from way back that I haven't reviewed yet. And at the pace I'm going reviewing things, you guys, I can't get things out every week, so it's going to take years to get everything out, isn't it? Unfortunately for you guys, if you want to look at the newest release or the, reviews of the newest release, that's not my channel. It's never been my channel. I review what I like, new and old, what I can get, Anyway, let's get back to these fragrances. So Zara is doing rather well, not only with the low-cost dupes and decent sales events, but also with their packaging. Well, the boxes are a tad flimsy and always come at least a little crushed in the mail and are inundated with stickers that tend to rip off the paper when peeled off, but I tend to immediately ditch the boxes if I'm honest. If the boxes are too nice, it makes it harder to do. Anyway, the bottles do not disappoint. Minimalist design, modern and sleek. I like them. Heavy bottles feel sturdy and luxe, but for me personally, if I'm honest, I prefer them to have less glass. More lightweight makes them more portable. But that's okay. I'll decant these if necessary and pop them into my purse. So, Moonlight Whisper is described as sweet, creamy, and universally appealing. And obviously, it has that it factor with its delicious pistachio trend note. And the note list is short. Here it is. Now, if you saw my review of Zara's vanilla collection, you'll know that I'm not a fan of Zara's chosen vanilla blends. They're simply not appealing to me. And I'll admit that the vanilla I get in here is not great either. However, because its role in this concoction is to support that creamy pistachio note, which is the star and very hard for me to dislike, so I forgive it. The pistachio in here is creamy and delicious, but could be creamier if I'm being picky. I forgive the nutty, sharp, slightly sharp edge too, this time because of the price. It's really hard to get that magically smooth blend at the Zara price point, I feel. But this isn't bad. What Zara's done well, or I should say Epinetto's done well with this, is to give you a tasty pistachio that will stay with you for a rather decent amount of time. I still smell this at the end of the day, although it's closer to the skin, and it really does work well on clothes. The sweetness in here is more akin to like an airy cotton candy rather than a thick syrup, which is certainly a positive if you don't want anything too sticky or sickly sweet. But make no mistake, this is sweet AF. Maybe another negative for me in this is that there's a hint of Zara's marshmallow DNA in here, which I'm not particularly fond of. And this fragrance also carries like a powdery floral feel to it. I think men can wear this too, but I would personally classify it more as a feminine scent. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the sharpness in here is more to do with the some sort of citrus rather than the pistachio, but I think there's a lot more to this fragrance than the notes would suggest. That said, I don't think I would classify this as a particularly complex fragrance. Kayale's Yum Pistachio Gelato has cardamom in it, I believe, but I don't think there's much in the way of spices here. I do think, though, that you can layer this with other fragrances to good effect. And despite the negatives I mentioned, I like both of these, and I don't find them hugely different from each other, if I'm perfectly honest. The intense version, it's just that. It's more intense. I'd probably use this intense version more in the colder months and then the original more in the warmer months, although probably not in the dead of summer where I live. It's too hot and humid. This would turn really barfy. No, you need something very light and fresh where I live, more bright and citrusy. The intense version is not surprisingly better performing, and I think it's a tad more expensive at retail, though the sales price was the same on both of these, so I got a better deal with this, I guess. I usually recommend intense versions over originals because of their performance, even if the formula is a little bit different, and that goes for this one too. But I looked at the note list, and I feel this one is richer, maybe with more vanilla to thicken it. That's typical for intense versions, I think. And the addition of more almond, perhaps. And there might also be like a tart note at the top, maybe like some sort of like cherry, something like that. Now, I don't feel that either of these fragrances is particularly classic, mature, or sophisticated, but they are fun, youthful, and somewhat original. I mean, they're not original in being a dupe, but it's not like that pistachio note is omnipresent in the fragrance world, if you follow my thinking. If you're a scent gourmand, like I am, with a capital G for gourmand, you're probably going to like this one. I recommend it. Of all the Zara fragrances I've tried so far, this makes it to the full bottle-worthy list, especially at the sales price point of $15 US. But it's definitely not as good as the other Zara fragrances I recommend, which are also dupes of something or other. Like Rose Gourmand, Red Temptation, and Sand Desert at Sunset. I also liked all those lovely soft scents from the 2023 Olivia Jacobetti collection, despite their poor performance. You might not be able to get those anymore, sadly. I'm curious to know how these compare to the Yum Pistachio Gelato by Kayale or Kayali. If you've tried that one, let me know. I don't plan to buy it though, I'm just curious. By the way, curiously, the note list for the gelato fragrance is way longer than those of these two. I do think Zara has simplified their lists, as I mentioned, but it's also likely that Yum Pistachio Gelato is more complex. Certainly the price point is complex enough. Another question, have you ever heard of a brand called Bijou Sucré? Apparently it's a cheapy brand you can get at Marshall's in the US, and they have a scent called Pistachio Macaron, which is said to smell exactly like Kayali stuff. No Marshalls near me though. There's also Paris Corner's Cair Pistachio, which is another good dupe I hear. Anyway, I look forward to your comments, fellow fumeheads, and I will see you in my next video. Scent Gourmand, signing out. Smell you later. Mwah.